All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Again, it's a privilege coming to you today with what is going on in our struggle for self-actualization, the struggle for the independence of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia. I am really excited and having this privilege to come to you on a weekly basis with updates with what is going on in the struggle. And I'm very thankful for those of you who tune in all the time, the thousands who tune in on a weekly basis to listen to what is going on in the struggle. The interview last Monday with Professor Hussein from Somaliland. I have received tons of messages asking that ABC rerun it again and again and again and again, and in fact it deserves it. It was such educative, illuminating and informative, and it spoke to us directly on what we are doing here, what we are doing right, what we are doing wrong in this struggle. And I want to believe if you have not watched that interview, please go back, look for it, get on ABC Facebook page and rewatch it. Listen to it attentively. I think you will be illuminated. You will be illuminated and encouraged when you listen to it. Listening to somebody who has traveled the road that all of us are traveling in today in this Southern Cameroon's conflict with La République du Cameroon. So please, that interview is still out there on the social media, Facebook in particular. Once in a while, we will rebroadcast on Ground Zero to listen to it. It is, again, very, very illuminating. Now, some of you already know that we have an app out there. ABC has an app out there. All you need to do is get to the App Store, Google Play Store or Play Store. Just search for ABC Amba TV. ABC Amba TV. Hundreds of people have already downloaded it within 2 days that we announced it, and I think they are enjoying it. Now, the essence of the app is if you live out of ground zero, and you want to watch ABC 24/7, you can watch ABC with that app. I have said it again and again that ABC is not coming to you live or only when we are live. After I am live, ABC is still running 24/7. But if you are not on ground zero or anywhere in Africa, you won't be able to watch it except with the use of this app. Now, with ABC app, wherever you are, wherever you go, you can carry ABC. You can carry ABC along with you and listen to it or watch it wherever you go and anytime you want to. The app is running live 24/7. 24/7. Now, I have received some messages from Ground Zero asking me how they on Ground Zero who often lost electricity during broadcast, how they can download and use the app. Unfortunately, unless you have a PayPal account, which I know PayPal doesn't operate in Ambazonia yet, nor in La République du Cameroon. So unless you have a PayPal account, you cannot do so. But if you have a bank, a Visa or MasterCard, you are able to download the app and subscribe for it. Subscription, ladies and gentlemen, is only $10 for the full year. $10 only for the entire year. So if you are on Ground Zero and you have a MasterCard or Visa card, yes, you are able to download it and install it. I wish we could open it free for those on Ground Zero. Unfortunately, it is not possible. Even members of ABC Club who paid for this thing, they can't have it for free. We thought they should have it for free, but unfortunately, when you open it for people to download and install it free, the moment you lock it, everybody is locked up and there is no way around it. There is no way around it. Ladies and gentlemen, it appears that we're having some sound issues here. I'm going to take a very brief break out, and we'll look into this. And I will be right back. Don't touch your remote and do not go anywhere at all. Don't go anywhere at all. We just need to get this right. Thank you. All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I hope this is going to be better. It is not easy to get this thing running when you are working with volunteers. But again, my apologies for that. I hope that this is better. And please hit your share button. Let us get the ball rolling. So before I left, I was saying that ABC app, you can take it anywhere. It's only $10, for the full year. We need the finances to support ABC to keep it running, to pay the satellite and to pay other bills. That is why we are not just letting it out there for free, but I really want to believe that those of you who cherish what we are doing and supporters of this revolution, this struggle, you know that we need ABC, and the only way we sustain it is by paying the bills. So please get on Play Store and download ABC Amber TV app just for $10 for a full 1 year, the whole 1 year. Again, go to Play Store and download. Just search for ABC Amber TV. ABC Amber TV, and the logo will immediately pop up. You hit the download button, and please leave a review when after you download. We do not have the iOS version yet. That is for those of you using Apple devices. We do not have the iOS version yet, but we are working on that because we know there are a whole lot of you out there using Apple devices, Apple mobile devices. So we are working on the Apple version. I'm hoping that maybe by the end of the month or so, we should be able to have the Apple version running just fine for you to download. So please do that and support ABC. Watch ABC 24/7, anywhere, anytime, after live events like this one. Now, I just want to, before I bring in my guests, I'd like to make another appeal about these world drafts that we just concluded. Again, we were giving up to December. Every one of us had up to December to redeem the draft. I want to seize upon this opportunity to appeal to all of you who have not yet redeemed your draft to please do so before December is here and gone. We do not want it to roll into January. We want every Ambazonian who drafted and hasn't paid, please do so before December is over. And remember, you are paying to your local government. You are paying to your county. You are not paying to the central government. You are paying to your local government. So please, we ask you, we encourage every one of you. I hear you saying you want action on the ground. I hear you say you want RPGs on the ground. Those things will not fly there, you know that. They are bought and paid for and transported or shipped to base. So if you want to see our boys on the ground releasing action on La République du Cameroon, please pay your draft. We're not going to win this war with noise on the social media, with posts on the social media. We will win it with money at hand and with material at hand. So please, again, you want to see the action? Let's put money into the hands of these boys who have put their lives on the line fighting for you and for me. All that we can do is show them that we care by putting that money on the table for equipment, the right firepower to be put into their hands to do what they can do. So again, my appeal to you, if you pledge, if you drafted but haven't redeemed the draft, I'm appealing to you today, please do so before December is over. Do so before December is over. It is very, very, very critical that we do so. La République du Cameroon continues to resist any form of mediation because they are thinking in their mind they have the firepower to crush our restoration forces. However, they have not done so in 4 years. With Dane guns, La République has not been able to crush them in 4 years, ladies and gentlemen. Just imagine if we can put the right equipment, the right weapons into the hands of these boys. You think La République will still live in the illusion of winning this war? Absolutely not. They have been told again and again and again, they cannot win this war. And if we can stand up, put the money where our mouths belong, ladies and gentlemen, La République du Cameroon will not outwit us in this struggle. Will we take back our country, take back our territory, like in the case of Somaliland, govern it by ourselves, run our own institutions by ourselves? This is what all this is about. So please, redeem your draft. And I want to hope that all the county chairs and the LGA chairs are out there reaching out in their communities to make sure that these drafts are redeemed. So please, you do not sit and hope that they call you and make the payments. You got to man the phones and get to your people to make sure that money comes in. Money comes in. There is nothing we can do without this money. So, ladies and gentlemen, please, for those of you watching by Facebook, the numbers are down, not up to 500 yet. Please hit your share button on that platform where you are. Send it to WhatsApp, send it to Instagram, send it to Facebook, to wherever you can. Please send out the link to friends. Let them join this and benefit from the input of Ntumfo Bo Herbert and comrade Abdul Karim. They're all joining me. Ladies and gentlemen, today we will be talking about a recent interview accorded the newspapers in La République du Cameroon by the Canadian ambassador. We will also be looking at certain comments coming from Barrister Emmanuel Ashu recently. We are talking about current events, current developments. Of course, French Cameroon has scheduled an election. French Cameroon has scheduled an election in our territory once more. in our territory once more. They are also sneakily talking about reconstruction. They are sneakily talking about reconstruction, and I am going to get there. Let me start with this so-called elections thing, ladies and gentlemen. And now let me remind you, we're going to be instituting or announcing a lockdown on the weekend of December the 6th. The weekend of December the 6th, there will be a lockdown for all of Ambazonia. All of Ambazonia. So we just want ground zero to take note of this. And I always like to add that when we announce these lockdowns, it is not to punish you, our own people. It is to save the revolution. Yes, save the revolution. Because there is no way we can tell the international community that we are not observing or participating in any form of arrangements in our territory organized by La République du Cameroon. The best way to do that is for us to shut our doors and stay home and let them walk on the streets by themselves. We cannot go out to aid and abet what they do in our territory illegally. So, these so-called regional council elections coming up December the 6th as announced by La République du Cameroon. Ladies and gentlemen, those elections, I should not even announce it, you know, they are banned in Ambazonia. We never again take instructions from La République du Cameroon. We never again try to practice any form of democracy from La République du Cameroon. For 59 years, they failed us. They failed to demonstrate they are a democratic nation. And so for them to come to our territory to think they can organize, put up some so-called regional council elections, we say no to it. And so we are formally declaring a lockdown of all of Ambazonia in the weekend of December the 6th, ladies and gentlemen. December the 6th, Ambazonia will be officially locked down. Now, this is just the announcement. I will be coming to you subsequently with the details of this lockdown so you understand exactly when it starts. But I just want you to know that the weekend of December the 6th, this year, of course, 2020, will be complete lockdown in Ambazonia. And let me also warn the so-called chiefs and politicians in Ambazonia who think that they can participate in French Cameroon organized elections in our territory. I want to remind them, let them know, this time you are not going to Yaoundé to hide anywhere, because we have learned that those regional houses are supposed to be in Bamenda and Boya. You can go out and participate in your elections, but you will not run away from us. You will remain in our zones, the northern and the southern zones. You will remain there and you will have nowhere to hide. So if you love your life, you love your family, stay away from French Cameroon organized elections in Ambazonia. Again, we will go after, I'm not missing words here, and I don't have to be afraid here to say this. We will go after every man and woman who goes there to aid and abet French Cameroon fraud upon our struggle. So please, stay away from French Cameroon organized elections. But if you dare go in for it, you are not going to Yaoundé like the parliamentarians and the so-called senators. You will be in the state. We will hunt you and we will find you and we will tell you where you belong. This is very, very serious, ladies and gentlemen. This is not the time to go and help La République du Cameroon in the fraud. They want the international community to know. They are trying to give the Anglophones, as they call us, some level of autonomy, as the CDN put it, Coalition for Dialogue and and negotiation, some form, some level of autonomy. We do not want some level. Ladies and gentlemen, Ambazonians, listen to me. At this time, in this struggle, with a death of over 15,000 people, with close to 1 million in the bushes, with close to 200,000 in refugee camps, we no longer want some level of autonomy. We want complete autonomy. We want to decide our destiny. We want to create our own institutions and run our own government. That is what we want. Nothing short of this. So do not think you can go out there and support so-called regional elections so that the public at the end of the day can go out and tell the international community, you see, we are giving them some powers now. Before they didn't have regional houses. Now they have regional houses. Now they can decide on their schools. Now they can decide on their own development. What about our natural resources? Will they allow us to decide on it too? What about all those so-called managing directors from Bulu lands and the Bamileke lands? Will they hand them over to us to manage and get taxes paid within our local governments and counties? Would they do that too? Of course not. That is why that so-called regional election is dead on arrival. It's dead on arrival, ladies and gentlemen. So please, those elections are banned in Ambazonia. You want to save your life? Stay home. Stay home. If you sneakily, Nicodemously go out to try to participate in that election, I can assure you, in a matter of time, we will get to you. In a matter of time, we will get to you. All right. Now let me also bring you this information that we have learned coming in from colonial regional officers, both in the southern zone and in the northern zone. I mean, of course, all of Ambazonia. Now, this is what we have learned. We have learned that La République du Cameroon is now, their colonial officials in our cities and towns are inviting people whose homes have been destroyed by their soldiers to sneakily come together, record their names so that money can be put into their hands for so-called reconstruction. I got a message for you. We have asked the UNDP, United Nations Development Program, to stay away from this. Apparently, they listen to us and they have stayed away from anything reconstruction. But this is what La République du Cameroon is trying to do. They are sending their colonial administrators with chiefs, ladies and gentlemen, with chiefs. And that is what the fund of Insult was going to his community to do when he was caught up at Indab. He was going to gather his people to come together, those of them whose properties have been destroyed. He was going to gather them together to tell them that Yaoundé is about to compensate you, so bring your names. And those names, of course, they will use it for their elections. We have equally learned that in Chang, the fund of Fontem and the elite of the BLM, they gathered in Chang to talk to the people of the BLM who have escaped to Chang to come out and put their names in the list of so-called reconstruction. So maybe money can be given to them. Let me assure you, they are not giving you any money for any reconstruction. All they want you to do is to come out, put your names in the list, a list that will then be forwarded to Yaoundé as a list of those who voted in their regional council elections, ladies and gentlemen. So please, if you lost your property in this war, do not hit to any calls from the regional administrators, colonial regional administrators, to go out and put out your names for any form of compensation. They are not going to compensate you for anything. Not right now. Because the UNDP that was supposed to be promoting this so-called reconstruction has stepped back. They have stepped back because we told them we will not allow them to go about with any form of reconstruction while people are still being killed and while French Cameroon soldiers are still burning down communities and whole villages. So the UNDP has stepped back, and the ploy that La République du Cameroon has now is to come to the communities and tell you we are ready to compensate you for your properties. You will come out, put your names in the list. They will take the list to Yaoundé and tell the regime that these are the people who voted in Ambazonia during the regional elections. It's a scheme. It's a setup that they are planning out there. Please do not respond to any calls from the colonial divisional officers, from the colonial mayors. It's a ploy to go to Yaoundé and tell them elections actually took place in Ambazonia. They are not ready to reconstruct because we have said it, they cannot do it while this war rages on. There will be no reconstruction while this war rages on. And let's assume they are even giving out some money for reconstruction. And you want to rush out to take those peanuts. What are you going to do with it? I have learned that in Bamenda. In fact, somebody called me, I think it was from Bafut, and said, Secretary Chris, they came to me and said, they will give me 2.5 million for my house that was zinged. Now, homes that were roofed with Taj, they said they will pay 1.5 million. Now, tell me, ladies and gentlemen, is there anywhere in Ambazonian, the southern Cameroons nowadays, where you can build a house for 2.5 million? Is that possible? Is that even good enough for labor, mere labor? Is that good enough? So please, if they put a dime in your hands, you will end up not having a house. But what about those in refugee camps? If they give you money, what about those in refugee camps? How are they going to give them money to come back, resettle, and rebuild their homes? Is that possible? So please, don't waste your time. The only moment we will support reconstruction is when after we sit on the negotiation table with La République du Cameroon, resolve this conflict, decide on the form of state, and then now we also agree on the form of reparations or compensations that every one of you who have lost property get. Until then, there will be no reconstruction. There will be no reconstruction, not in Ambazonia, not when the war rages on. We will get back to this, but let me bring in my panel at this time. I am joined by Intumfoin Bo Herbert and Comrade Abdul Karim Ali. Tumfoin Bo Herbert, it's a pleasure having you, sir. Good, I think it's good afternoon there in Virginia.
Good afternoon. Yep, and it is in West Virginia, yes.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining me back again today. Comrade Abdul Karim, it appears you are frozen up, Comrade Abdul. Can you hear me, sir? Okay, it appears that Abdul camera is frozen up, but in Tumphone, it's again a pleasure having you here on set with me. So much has been going on. I've mentioned a few of them. The so-called reconstruction scheme, which is essentially a ploy to register some names, take to Yaoundé for so-called regional elections. Then we also had this interview by the Canadian ambassador in which you wrote a very, very sweeping rejoinder to the interview by the Canadian ambassador. We also have on discussion here a statement made by Barrister Ashu in Douala to the effect that He doesn't see us getting independence because we are so factionalized. These are some of the things that we're going to be talking about here. But let us start with this so-called reconstruction thing. Ntumfon, tell us what you think about this reconstruction thing.
Well, thank you, Secretary Chris, for having me. Reconstruction is a scam. You should be very clear. The people of Ambazonia should not be mistaken about what is going on here. If you really want to know why it is a scam, I'll give you just a few numbers. The regime of Mr. Biya went to the African Development Bank in the middle of this war in June of last year and asked and obtained 160 million euro. They claimed that they were going to construct the ring road. You know that there's no construction of the ring road. Before they got 160 million euros, they had previously obtained 38 million euros. According to them, they had done phase 1 of the ring road. Now, this is a project that Mr. Biya promised in February of 1983. He said he will personally supervise. So anything linked to construction is not something that this regime has ever done. For proof, they still have only 5 miles of road tarred between Yaoundé and Douala after 9 years of taking money out for it. Now, let me tell people again, one other thing that they are doing. They went into the IMF and they had to absolutely explode their quota within the IMF. They have received, ever since May of this year, they have received a total of $382 million from the IMF, supposedly to fight against COVID. Everybody knows there is no COVID program in Cameroon. The only reason for which they are getting this money is so that they can buy weapons, they can buy bread and sardine for their killers, and they can set them off against the people of Ambazonia. Now, reconstruction is going to be the responsibility of the government of Ambazonia, not the responsibility of the colonizers. So please don't get scammed. Don't join anything about reconstruction, because first, reconstruction is impossible. It will not be supported by anyone because the environment does not allow that to happen, and no one is fooled to think that the people who are burning up the place are also going to be the ones who are going to reconstruct it.
Absolutely. I think that is absolutely the case. And I think there is no way we can allow that reconstruction to go ahead. But also look at this vis-a-vis their so-called regional elections. As I have said, it just appears what they are trying to do is get people to come out, register for these so-called reparations, and then they get the list to Yaoundé and tell the regime in Yaoundé, these are our people, these are the people in the northern zone who voted. And that will give them a message to take to the international community to say, you see, they are cooperating with us. Don't you see that?
This is the ultimate goal for the Biya regime. They are hoping, again, let's remind our people that these are not elections. These are not elections. Let's say that again. These is a selection. This is a process of Mr. Biya handpicking who he wants to run affairs on behalf of his colonial regime within our territory. So it's no different from a decree appointing, an SDO, colonial SDO, a colonial governor, or colonial chef de service. That is exactly the same thing that's going to be happening. And because they cannot practice any form of democracy, this is an indirect election. It will involve councillors. So those who are supposedly elected, who were also selected, you know that, because the whole place is CPDM. The whole place is enablers. This is the selection of enablers to pursue the colonial enterprise in Ambazonia. And it should be very clear, and I think as one who serves a royal palace in the northern zone, as one who is in Tumfoin from the northern zone, I would say to our chiefs and our funds, stay out of this business. Your people respect you for who you are, for what you inherited naturally. Do not mess it up with the politics. You don't need the politics to go along with it. And I encourage the people of Ambazonia, take responsibility for your chiefs and your traditional rulers. Make sure that they do not become servants at the hands of a colonial regime. When I see the pictures of colonial SDO in Dop sitting right next to the phone of Nso, I feel completely revolted. And this is the kind of stuff, the kind of mud into which our traditional institutions are dragged. Our people who are chiefs and fawns should look to England, look to what they have done with the Queen of England, look to what they have done with the lords in England, and remember that Ambazonia can shape that for you. So don't go and play with enablers. It does not work, and it will not work.
And by the way, in Tumfon, what do you make of the arrest in Ndop and the banishment to French Cameroon of the phone of Binglo?
A number of things here. Maybe I should preface my answer with something. And I want the people of Ambazonia to hear this. According to the information that I have, La République du Cameroun intentionally put both Cardinal Tumi and the fond of Nso in danger. The goal of La République du Cameroun was to get both Christian Cardinal Tumi and the fond of Nso killed. They wanted them assassinated so that they can turn around and cry foul. Now remember that the fond of Nso, when he had to leave his fondom, he was picked up in a military helicopter. He was guarded by B. He was airlifted to Yaoundé. It was time for these monsters in Yaoundé to send him back into the mouth of the lion. They did not so much as provide him with an escort. They were hoping that he will get killed and that this will revolt everyone. They were hoping, because they had just heard the Holy Father, Pope Francis, speak out against the killings in Kumba. They were hoping that the assassination of Christian Cardinal Tumi will revolt the Catholic Church against what is going on in Ambazonia. That is why they provided zero escort, zero security to these very important personalities who were on mission for them. Now, that did not work because happily, and I've pointed this out, including on French language programs, happily, our restoration forces in Gokutunja and elsewhere have demonstrated that they know how to deal with civilians. They have demonstrated that they know how to deal with the United Nations when they stop them and check them. And it is indeed a right of the restoration forces to check who is going in and out of their territory, to make sure that even when it is humanitarian aid, that humanitarian aid is not misused to bring weapons or to bring spies into our territory. So I would just like to tell the people of Ambazonia again, La République du Cameroun does not care about any one of our people. They would sacrifice anyone without hesitation. And the information I have with respect to both the attempt that the Republic wanted made on the lives of both Christian Cardinal Tumi and the fond of Nso, this is the extent to which this monstrous regime wants to go.
There is no doubt about that, and we keep on urging our people to remain very, very vigilant. But I would like you to give me your take on the handling of the arrest of Cardinal Tumi and the son of Nso by the restoration forces. How will you grade them? They had the chief in custody for 5 days. Cardinal Tumi was let go, I think, the very next day, but they held the chief for 5 good days. They did not torture him. They did not ask for a ransom. How would you grade their handling of that situation?
The first thing that I must say is that people who are fighting this war, the restoration forces, they know what the danger is to their lives and to our territory. They know what they need to do to continue to preserve the territorial integrity of Ambazonia. So I don't want to be in a position of prejudging what the circumstances were that dictated the arrest and brief detention of these two personalities. But I would say first, and I've pointed this out, including on French media, that if it was La République du Cameroun that had arrested these two personalities, the first thing you would have seen, because you see that in every arrest that they make, is that they would have been stripped down to their underwear if they were lucky. We have seen our people stripped down to naked. They would have been tortured. They would have been killed. That is how La République du Cameroun has treated anyone that they have taken into custody. Again, I want to congratulate the restoration forces for recognizing, one, that civilians should not be targeted. And number two, that when you question them, you let them go, because there is no need to target civilians, and targeting them constitutes a war crime. I think that if we go by the information that was provided by Christian Cardinal Tumi himself, he said, I was well treated. He said his first night was rough because he had to stay the night on a thin mattress. And then he ends by saying he really pities the young people. Now, I understand that the word pity might provoke some other thought, but my understanding of that is that Christian Cardinal Tumi is saying, I really appreciate the sacrifice of these young people and the fact that they're willing to lay their lives down for this revolution. Now, the thing that Christian Cardinal Tumi can do to help them is to join them by voicing support for justice, for truth, and for upholding what the people of Ambazonia have obtained by way of international right, by international law, and UN-backed resolutions.
Now, thank you for that. I think Comrade Abdul Karim is back with us. Hello, Comrade. It's a pleasure to have you back, sir.
Hi, Secretary Chris, and salam, Senior Comrade Bo. Can you hear me?
I can hear you 5 on 5.
All right. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sure I had to restart my phone. But besides the phone, I also think the network is bad. And please, you're going to excuse me. I'm not feeling well, so you're not going to have the best of my voice.
I won't ask you a lot of hard questions, so I won't get you feeling bad. So let me ask you a few questions on the same subject that I have been discussing with Comrade Bo. You are there on ground zero, and we hear all these talks about council regional elections coming up on December the 6th. And they are also putting out statements asking people who have lost property during this conflict to step out, get registered, receive some money in their pockets for reconstruction. What is your take on all of this? Are they actually trying to compensate people, as they say?
Right. I'm not sure you can get me because you were breaking, but I got the essence of the question. So let me begin by praising God and ask Him to send His blessings upon prophets, messengers to the suffering people of Southern Cameroon, and to you, my comrades, everyone. Can you hear me, sir?
I can hear you, sir.
All right. Yeah. Again, yeah, I think I heard Comrade Bo articulated pretty much on that. That this is a rogue government that has robbed the IMF and other monetary organizations lots of money to develop what they called their own country. They are unable to do that. You just saw after 60 years, they are now celebrating the opening of a mall. Look, I think they have a lot of work to do back then, like Republic, than pretend to reconstruct what they destroyed. Listen, we'll not belabor on this, whether or not they're trying Look, they are bribing people onto reconstructions. This is not how the world operates. This is not how international movements operate. When there is war or there's a conflict, and reparations or reconstructions or recovery have to take place. This is called you destroy a property worth perhaps 13 million, and you're bribing perhaps not even the real owner of the property with 2.5 million and 1.5. I feel sorry for those of us Southern Cameroonians who would fall cheap for that. I think Comrade Bo, have I been talking alone?
I can hear you.
Oh, Comrade Bo, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
It seems we lost.
Adu, we can hear you. Go on.
Oh yeah, did you hear the first part of my answer?
The first part, but then you got frozen for about a minute.
Oh, okay. Oh, so let me just paraphrase again once more. I'm saying that actually the whole essence of our resistance and struggle is because we want to take care of things ourselves. So if you came in, killed us, destroyed our property, and now pretend to want to reconstruct it, which you're doing it in by and large size, shapes, and forms that are not obtainable anywhere in the world, it is called bribery. And don't be surprised that the people who would marshal up to collect these funds are not the rightful owners of any property. We know that many people were burnt in these houses, so who is going to collect such nonsense? The essence of the struggle is simply because the people of Southern Cameroon want to take care of themselves by themselves. So, and that includes what they will be reconstructing or reinserting in their land. So I think that is a farce, and we should not be fooled into such a cheap bribery and corruption in the name of collecting funds for reconstruction.
And what about the idea that this idea of reconstruction is just to put together a list and take to Yaoundé so they can tell the international community that Ambazonian participated in the vote?
Oh yeah, it is plausible, but it is highly unlikely. Look, Secretary Chris, I think the international community understands our plight better than us. Look, they are the ones who organized the process that gave us Resolution 1608, 1335, and 1514. They are the ones who organized it. They understand our problems than we do. They also understand the rogue system that we live in. This is why all of them have condemned and distanced themselves from this particular regime. They know it. So I think it's a plausibility, but highly unlikely in a bid to fool the international community. Elections are by and large determined by those who show up for it. Those who show up for elections determine the election. So if an election is coming up in Southern Cameroons and Francophones are the ones showing up for it, then that is a selection. It is a governmental colonial selection, not an election. I think what we should be doing, Secretary Chris, in my opinion, in all the subjects that we are going to be discussing today, is applying Matthew chapter 7, verse 5. We should remove the log in our eyes so that we can see clearly to talk about the dust in others' eyes. I'm here saying that we have a lot of work to do. We have so much to do so that we won't have to discuss things like this. I would yield at this point.
All right. We will get back to that. But I like both of you to respond to this statement made last week by Barrister Emmanuel Ashu in La République du Cameroon. Please stay put and listen. Just listen, please.
I personally think that going by the recent surveys that were conducted, especially by the Coalition for Dialogue and Negotiations, we have about 86% of the Southern Cameroonians who were interviewed who opted for total independence. Now, before Mr. Thibault Nash came up with his statement, I said, well, it is good to want total independence, but if you were given that independence, are you sure you are going to enjoy it? Because in the present context where we have well over 8 armed groups, each one backing down the other's throat, I don't think that if that total independence were granted, Southern Cameroonians will enjoy it, because it is very likely that while we are there fighting each other, multinationals will come in and loot the wealth or the mineral wealth. So I think that, like Mr. Nash rightly says, these groups have an interest to come together and speak as one person. And we look at it, it looks very unlikely. It's very unlikely, because if you listen to each of them, every day it is their daily bread to insult each other, to kill each other's supporter and all that. So it's really difficult. I personally, when I was on Canada, I advised my people to better choose some form of the state that will grant them autonomy without leaving the present setup. Because if you leave this setup and you go enter something which you will not be able to control, then you will be living fry pan.
So he says he advised his people to choose autonomy without leaving this present setup. I want us to take note of that. Without leaving this present setup. Please also listen to him here now.
Recognizes the independence of South Africa, as just said. The second is that as a member state of the African Union, the Republic of Cameroon is bound by the Constitutive Act of the African Union, which states in Article 4B that all member countries recognize that their borders are those obtained upon independence. Again, as a member state of the UN, the Republic of Cameroon knows that its boundary is that which was obtained in 1960 when it got independence. So it is senseless and baseless for that war to continue when it is clear that the Republic of Cameroon has no right to sovereignty over Southern Cameroon, which has never given them such a right. Now, what is the way forward? In the present situation, the Republic of Cameroon and the representation of Southern Cameroon will be brought before internationally supervised negotiation table to sign the Union Treaty, which they ought to have signed in 1961. Failing which, the UN should organize a referendum in Southern Cameroon for the people to determine their future.
You're muted. You're muted, Secretary Chris.
I'm sorry,
You
what's
are
happening? I
muted,
cannot
Secretary
see
Chris.
Comrade Bo. I cannot see Comrade Chris.
Secretary Chris,
Is
you're
it my
muted.
fault?
Well, I'm very sorry. I'm
muted,
having
Secretary.
issues with this microphone. But I was asking, is this man talking on both sides of his mouth, or what is he trying to do? At one point, he is saying the only way to go is get back to the United Nations. Let's get back to 1961 referendum. And then yesterday he said autonomy, but autonomy within La République du Cameroon. I mean, what is going on? What should we say is happening with Barrister Ashu?
Well, let me start by saying something about lawyers. Lawyers, their business is to take sides. We used to think that Barrister Ashu had taken sides in favor of Ambazonia. I think he probably found a better client who was paying him more money and he decided that he was going to switch sides. Now, this is what happens when you live in a prison. And we should make no mistake, the Cameroons is a prison. Everybody who lives there is a prisoner. Some of them are able to articulate the truth and what is right, like Comrade Abdul Karim. Others fear for their very lives and cannot open their mouths to say these things. Now, La République du Cameroon will always find people whom they try to prop up and set up so that the people of Ambazonia feel like these people are supporting them. So they'll find somebody like Barrister Ashu and get him on the air, and you get the impression that he is with us. They'll get somebody like Eric Tato and get him to say the right things as if he were with us. And then before you know it, he is doing everything to discredit the same struggle that we are in. Now, remarkably, the thing that happened after Barrister Ashu sent out that statement was that that statement was immediately highlighted and retweeted by the Coalition for Dialogue and Negotiation. Now, the people of Ambazonia, please go to their Twitter feed. You will see it. Now, if people tell you that they are for the independence of Ambazonia, and they are highlighting the tweet of someone who is for some form of autonomy, some form of decentralization, in effect for continued slavery under colonial domination, you should know what they are up to. And again, these people look like you. They pretend to look like you. They pretend to be with you just so that they can lift you as high as possible and let you drop. So please, your revolution, your struggle is in your hands. Do not be misled by fake prophets. And I would say that Barrister Ashu is just proving that he was a fake prophet.
Abdul, let's get back to you on this. Can you hear me, sir? Hello, Abdul. I think we lost Abdul. But let me get back to you, Ntumfine, on this Barrister Ashu's thing. I just do not understand that somebody like him would come out month after month, year after year, put out the position of the masses, the position of the people, and then so suddenly, he begins to speak the language of the enemy. What is going on? Will it be right to say he has been cornered by the regime and he is now speaking their language more than the language we heard from him in the past?
Well, I think there's something to be said about lawyers in Southern Cameroon in general. Don't forget, they are the ones who went out there and mobilized and told our people that this was unacceptable, that they should come out. The people came out. And the first people who abandoned the people in the streets and went back to court were the lawyers. Now,
right.
I don't blame them entirely. As I've said, they are prisoners. They are prisoners of a bar association that is linked to La République du Cameroun and is linked to a minister of injustice in Yaoundé, whose entire business, whose entire power allow him just one day to take the guys off the bar association. As you remember, he said, when they will get hungry, they will go back to court.
Right.
Now, one way of getting them hungry is just take away their license to practice, which they can do at will. And so this is the kind of ultimatum that they give to people like Barrister Ashu, and he has no choice than to go forward and say, hey, this is what happened. Now, for the people of Ambazonia, all what we need to remember is that there will be so many who will deny this revolution. Remember, Peter denied Christ 3 times. The problem is not just people who deny, it is people who realize after they deny that they did the wrong thing. Hopefully they join back. But if they don't join back, the rest of us forge ahead. Remember again, the rest of South Africa was going about its business when Soweto was making sure that apartheid will be brought down. The rest of La République du Cameroon was going about its business when Bamenda made sure that we will get to multi-party democracy. So this is not about the multitude. This is about the few, the bold, the brave, those who will not give up, those who belong indeed in the never again generation. This is your business to deliver, and you are who we have been waiting for. So go forward with your struggle. Do not listen to false prophets again, I say.
Well, I think you said it all. I think the Somaliland professor that I had here on Monday said exactly the same thing. It is not everybody that says or pronounces and carries the flag of a free Ambazonia who will eventually end up for Ambazonia. In fact, we've already seen so many cases. The Eric Tatos that you mentioned here, the Nick Santos, the Nebat Fontaines, and so on. I mean, the list is quite long. And that is why that would take us to this other subject that titled Ambazonians. Ambazonians have the final say. Ambazonians have the final say. And I was here referring to the statement made at the weekend in the newspaper interview by the Canadian ambassador to the effect that Ambazonians really do not need secession. They can just have decentralization or federation. It is all the same thing. And people are beginning to wonder, does anyone, no matter who that person is, has the right to tell Ambazonians what they want or what they need?
No, absolutely nobody. Nobody but Ambazonians have the final say on what is supposed to happen to them. Our friends, whether they support a negotiation or not, whether they think and are brilliant as, whoever, they have no right to meddle in the internal affairs of Ambazonia or meddle in the internal affairs of La République du Cameroun. I understand that Mr. High Commissioner for Canada to La République du Cameroun found himself in hot waters, both on the side of La République du Cameroun and on the side of Ambazonia. Because clearly, what he learned in diplomatic school, which is, don't talk about internal affairs, he did not respect this in the case of this interview. The hope, perhaps, was that La République du Cameroun was going to be happy with the reaffirmation of the territorial integrity of La République du Cameroun. But every time Ambazonians hear those words, they should remember, we have no problem with the territorial integrity of La République du Cameroun. We only have an issue when someone thinks that the territorial integrity of Ambazonia is up for grabs by La République du Cameroun or by any other foreign envoy who thinks they can tell us what to do. Now remember, La République du Cameroun obtained independence under a resolution that is exactly similar to the resolution that granted independence to Ambazonia. Those two resolutions have equal force in law. And for the ambassador of Canada, High Commissioner of Canada to the Cameroons, to be saying what he's saying, especially with Canada funding, supporting the mediation under the Swiss-led process, there he was stepping out of line with respect, even with headquarters, I would dare to say. Because if you are indeed looking for a negotiation, you do not take sides. We have seen this from the Americans. We have seen it from the United Nations when it is Ambassador Falls speaking. We have seen it from Thibault Nach when he speaks. And now we see it from the High Commissioner for Canada. All of them should know, please, please stay out of Ambazonian issues. If you say that it is unrealistic, how unrealistic was it for Canada to obtain independence for Britain? How unrealistic was it for Quebec to seek independence? What happened in Quebec for Canada to grant them a referendum 2 times, in 1980 and in 1995? Why did they do that? They were killing no one in Quebec. No one was being trampled over. No villages and towns were burned in Quebec. No people were arrested and deported and beheaded in Quebec when they got to a referendum. So the only reason that Western diplomats open their mouths and speak to the people of Ambazonia is because they believe that the people of Africa are those they should trample on, are those they can spoon feed. We are a new generation. They should forget it. This is not the 1950s and 1960s. This is not the generation with which the world is going to play. We mean business when we say we are restoring the independence of our people, of our land, and we will not be stopped by Western countries that decide that they think they can impose what they want to the people of Ambazonia.
If I may ask, though, from your understanding of what he said, was there anything new in what he said other than the statement that Ambazonians really don't have to secede? He talked about federation there. I think this is a position that most of these Western powers, including the USA, you've listened to Thibault Nach talk about this, I guess, on a number of occasions. Greater autonomy, and when they are talking greater autonomy, they are thinking of, a federal system. That position really hasn't changed, isn't it?
No, the position has not changed, and the people of Ambazonia should be reassured, because every people who go out and ask for independence, they go through the same process. They go through the international community denying that what is happening is not happening. When 15 states were being born out of the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, people were denying that this was happening. But the West quickly embraced it because they wanted for a long time to destroy the Soviet Union. Now, it was an evil empire, so it disintegrated, I would approve of the disintegration. But you cannot look at that disintegration and welcome the sovereign nations that re-emerge from that disintegration and turn to Africa and say that the purpose for which you are there is to uphold these obnoxious regimes that have been put in place that have recolonized other Africans. This is unacceptable. So we expect them to continue to say that they recognize the territorial integrity of La République du Cameroon. After all, the United States itself, after it declared independence, they had to wait 2 years. Every nation told them that they recognized the territorial integrity of Britain, right, until the Kingdom of Morocco said, okay, we agree here. And every other country that has become independent, whether it is South Sudan, whether it's Eritrea, East Timor, Kosovo, all of them have gone through a period when official policy from the nations that were working with them was that they recognized the territorial integrity of the mother nation, if you can call it the mother nation. In our case, it is not the mother nation. But if you call it the mother nation, they kept saying that. So we will hear this for a little bit until they switch sides. The way they're going to switch sides is the people of Ambazonia being very clear. When you hear a Western diplomat or any other person go out and make those statements, don't be shy. Go out and tell them to mind their business, because the people of Ambazonia want to get where they want to go, and they're not going to be stopped. The world is not going to cry or die for us, as they say in the village. It is our responsibility to make sure that what we want the world understands that we are not turning back from it. It is as if you took a divorce case to court. The first responsibility of the court is to find out whether the couple is reconcilable. That is what this whole test balloons are being floated for. They are floating these balloons to find out whether the people of Ambazonia are willing to entertain some kind of arrangement. And the people of Ambazonia should respond very, very forcefully that they are focused on independence and on independence alone.
And when you talk about response, you mean like going to Twitter or what? Write-ups
Yeah,
or what?
Most of us are on Twitter, so please, that's where you should bombard them. But also, Ambazonians who live in Canada, it is part of your responsibility to go to your representative in the Congress, in the parliaments in Canada, especially in Quebec, and let them know if they would have supported 400 villages being burned in Quebec, if they would have supported 15,000 people being massacred in Quebec, if they would have supported their independence being seized by the rest of Canada. They cannot tell us to accept what they would not accept unless they consider us subhumans.
And I think that is correct because I think the ambassador was absolutely out of line when you try to compare the situation in Ambazonia and Cameroon with that in Quebec and Canada, because we all know that Quebec is in Canada by their own volition. They had opportunity twice in a referendum to declare or vote to have their own country, but they choose to vote to stay with Canada. Back in Ambazonia and La République du Cameroun, Ambazonians don't have that chance. They will not be given that chance. And I would think that any diplomat who wants to present himself as standing on the middle would say, you know what, I think the people deserve a referendum to decide where they want to be. They want to remain neutral. I think that is the route they should take. Anything wrong with that?
No, absolutely. That is the route that should be taken. Western democracies seem to be absolutely okay when it is Western countries that are taking those steps. So Scotland could have a referendum on whether Scotland should get out of the UK. The UK could have a referendum whether they should stay in the European Union.
Right.
Quebec could have two referenda to determine whether they should stay on in Canada. So effectively,
and the Scottish also had their own vote to decide whether to stay with England, with the United Kingdom.
Absolutely. And all of them, even when it is a case of secession, because in the case of Quebec, it would have been secession if Quebec had left Canada. But even there, they paved a legal path for Quebec to get there. And they put up all kinds of advantages in advance, which is how they destroyed the push for independence. That is how they destroyed it. When they ended up with the nation of Quebec with sovereignty, not autonomy. And who was backing Quebec? Who was indirectly backing Quebec? The French, the same people who in Ambazonia today want to make sure that the people of Ambazonia are kept in enslavement. I would like to point out to the people of Ambazonia that a few days before we saw the statement from Ambassador Thibault Nage of the United States, we had a statement by a French member of parliament in which he was lambasting Ambassador Thibault Nage and accusing him of organizing the secession in Ambazonia, as he was calling it. They basically went after him as an individual, saying that he was the one organizing it. They put pressure on him, going to the extent of insulting his ancestry. Now, Ambassador Thibault Nage is formerly is from Hungarian descent. They went to the extent of mentioning the fact that his father had to pay with his life when the Nazis invaded Hungary. This is the extent to which these people, the French, who are the direct people under whom La République du Cameroon is working as proxy to colonize the people of Ambazonia, this is the extent to which these people are callous. And so we don't want to be fooled by them. There is a process. Everyone should remember, while Quebec did not even have independence when they got a referendum, Ambazonia already had their referendum for independence on the 11th of February 1961. They got their vote before the United Nations on the 21st of April 1961. They obtained independence on the 1st of October 1961. And by the way, 1514, Resolution 1514 set out the principles under which Ambazonia can withdraw from whatever union they formed with La République du Cameroun. We would not be the first country to do that. Gambia did the same when they formed the union with Senegal, and Egypt did the same when they formed the union with Syria. So the world should apply the same standards for Ambazonia. It is for our people to continue to let the world know that we will settle for no less.
Well, absolutely. But let's get back to this again. One thing that came out from the interview with the ambassador was his reference to the Swiss initiative, to the fact that they, the Canadians, sponsor it, support it, will continue to support it to the chagrin, I believe, of those detractors and enablers who continue to say the Swiss talks is a sham. It was never there. It is not there. What is your take on it?
You know, again,
did you bribe the ambassador to say that?
You know, every Ambazonian knows that there is an internationally supported process. That internationally supported process is under the auspices of the Swiss government. Yes, Canada is one of the countries that is supporting to get that process going, to get the negotiations going. So Canada is doing a good thing by supporting that process. That does not mean that its diplomats cannot start walking the different road. When they walk that different road, we have a responsibility to go out and call them out. Now, those who have been telling the people of Ambazonia that the Swiss-led process does not exist, this is the first process that does not exist that people care so much about. If something does not exist, why do you care about it so much? Now, please remember it. Some people want you to believe that if you use war, if you use weapons, if you just kill hundreds of thousands of people, you will get to independence. No, you will not. Independence is obtained at negotiations. It is obtained with support of the international community. And so you have to have a table laid for you to enable you to get to that. And I continue to tell the people of Ambazonia, please appreciate the level to which you have gotten to that very quickly. If you compare yourself to East Timor, they declared independence in 1975. They did not get to a negotiation until 1999. You have gotten there as quickly as possible. Do not be like the Palestinians. When the Palestinians were given an opportunity to discuss a two-state arrangement with Israel, they walked away from it, and the international community walked away from them. Now, what we do with the Swiss-led process is not dependent on Canada. It is not dependent on the Swiss. It is dependent on Ambazonians. And that is why we keep saying, join the process, because we will determine our fate. Nobody will dictate what the people of Ambazonia should decide on that table of negotiations. And that is why La République du Cameroun is so scared to come to the table, because they realize that at that table where Ambazonia is equal to La République du Cameroun, they will have no papers of sovereignty to put on the table to counter the arguments that the people of Ambazonia will have. And for all those who believe that Team Ambazonia has been bought, that Team Ambazonia is being paid for. I wonder why they did not ask the question to the ambassador, to the high commissioner. You know, apparently every one of us got millions of dollars. I wish we did, because we would have funded our war very properly by now. But unfortunately, if they thought that they had paid us, why don't they show up at the table and collect that for which they have paid? They know they have paid nobody. They know they will be destroyed at the table of negotiation. They know they have no papers to bring, because if they had papers, they will be the first to rush to the international table. They did that when it came to the Bakassi Peninsula. They rushed to international community because they believed that, I mean, they used the paperwork of Ambazonia to say, look, we have a right to this territory. Now we are challenging them to prove in a court in front of the international community that they have sovereignty. And as Dr. Ngumne proved in 2009 in Gambia at the African court, they have no case to make against the people of Ambazonia.
I spoke to a diplomat in Yaoundé over the weekend, and I was asking him why their countries are not pushing La République des Morts to come to the table. And he said to me, listen, La République is in factions. They are so divided. And unfortunately, too, is a country where authority comes from above, order comes from above and goes under without any consultations. All that they believe is decimating the Ambazonia Restoration Forces, killing as many civilians as possible to dampen their spirit. At this time, at this moment in this struggle, do you see Ambazonians, I mean the civilian population, resisting this occupation and invasion till the end? Because I talked to a lot of people from Ground Zero, and many are truly worried. Do you see our people standing up, resisting, and taking back the country like the Somalilanders did?
An important point to make, Secretary Chris, is that the words that come out of our mouths are powerful words, because in the name of Jesus, things are done, okay? So words that come out of our mouth that say things like our people are discouraged, or our people are not certain, will our people make it? That sows a seed of doubt in the minds of our people. Every one of our people knows that this was not meant to be a walk in the park. Every one of our people know that this is difficult work. It has been difficult for every country around the globe. The United States, soldiers who fought for the independence of the United States had to fight in snow, in ice, without shoes. They fought without food. Every country has to go through this. The people of Ambazonia, when you look to what you gain when you get to the other side, you have to focus on what you're getting to. Now, they say La République du Cameroon is divided. Yes, they are. But they're not only divided, they're also comatose. Because when you see their leader, including at the funeral of his elder sister, you understand that when you have political deadwood in charge, you get a dead country. You get no action. You get no movement. So this is not a country that is being ruled. It has never been ruled. It has always been misruled. But it has gotten to that worst situation. And let me address the other point, which Barrister Ashu was raising, which is he said that we were divided and said we need to come together before we can get to something that works. Look, the United States is divided along Republican and Democratic Party. But that does not stop the people from making progress in what they need to do. A divided nation is a vibrant nation on the basis of strategy and political options for that nation. So we are not seeking to build a one-party state where everybody agrees. No, we are not. But one thing that we have established is that the majority of the people of Ambazonia want independence. That is very clear. Even the federalists, even the unionists, even those who want to sell us for 5 francs to La République du Cameroon recognize that that is where the majority, overwhelming majority of our people stand. On the other hand, the overwhelming majority of the citizens of La République du Cameroon now understand that the injustice done to the people of Ambazonia needs to end and that they deserve everything they're asking for right now.
Absolutely. That is the way to go. I just want to trust that every Ambazonian out there in ground zero will remain very, very steadfast until we see the end of this, because where we are like in the middle of the ocean where there is no turning back. You turn back, you meet the ocean, you find the ocean. In front of you is the ocean, and the best thing to do there is keep on moving on. Now let us talk about this. I'm sure you must have seen this statement that came out, I think 2 days ago, from some so-called Revolutionary Council just formed, and they talked about consulting with you, consulting with Dr. Sako, consulting with me, and I think a few others. Now, let me say, I don't know who is behind that nonsense. Nobody spoke to me. I only saw my name mentioned in there. Were you consulted?
No, I was not consulted. Again, we have told the people of Ambazonia, you are going to have all these false prophets showing up, pretending to be acting with you in your revolution. You have seen people go ahead and elect a president in jail. All of this is part of the maneuver so that they can turn around and tell you that you are divided. When they know that the people of Ambazonia are putting together Team Ambazonia for negotiations, they go and open negotiations with people in jail so that it can turn out that there are 2 processes for negotiations. When we have built the coalition, the Ambazonia coalition team, build the coalition for negotiation, so it will look like there are 2. When there is an IG working, they build another one from jail, so it will look like there are 2. This is the system. This is what they do. This is what they have done since 1960. Our people need to just recognize the Munas and separate them from the Juars. Don't follow the Munas. Take your cue from the Juars, and there are many of them in this revolution, and I'm very proud of them.
Do you know this, I think, Ago Carlos guy who is behind that thing? Do you, by any means, know the person?
Well, he has been around, always arguing about how to move together, a process where he will bring everybody together. He has promised holding this stuff in Norway so many times, and nothing has ever come of it. Obviously, there are some people who believe that their job is to get hired to babysit the leaders of this struggle. No leader needs to be babysat by whoever. We know exactly where we are going. We are working on a strategy on how to get there, and we are asking the people of Ambazonia to do what every people have done, which is to be patient, to be resistant, to be tenacious, to stay absolutely resilient, to stay unconquerable in your path and in your fight for self-determination and for total independence. Do not get distracted by all of these objects that people balance left and right, by all these movements that they said they are creating. Revolutionary Council here, a government elected from jail here, a process of negotiation that does not exist. All these people who tell you that something will start with the Spanish, who say, the Germans are coming in, the Norwegians are coming in, the Canadians are coming in, the Americans will start a process. No, none of that is happening. And if they want to know, Team Ambazonia is forging forward. And even as, we will not talk about some of the stuff that we are doing, because they cannot even fathom what Team Ambazonia is doing right now.
They appear to be a movement that is being birthed up in the north of La République du Cameroon. I'm just reading a newspaper headline that says, government bans Ambazonia-like Northerners movement. Government bans Ambazonia-like Northerners movement. But the owner of the movement but promoter fires back, insists they are unstoppable. Is there something about taking place in the north? I mean, north of La République du Cameroon. Have you heard of anything?
Yes, I've heard about the armed group that has set up. I don't believe there's one armed group. I know that there's more than one armed group up in the north. We also know that La République du Cameroon recruited 14,000 militia up in the north, and that when they left, those militia, some of them were brought down to Ambazonia, and they have been used along with the Fulani people to go and slaughter our people. But the rest of them were left up in the north. Many of them unhappy because they did not have compensation. Many of them unable to return to their communities because they were the ones who led people to their execution. Like we saw in the case of those women with children strapped to their backs who were executed. Those were militias leading those women up to the soldiers and giving them for execution. Those people are the ones who have picked up arms right now. Now, the international community knows something about destroying nations. We saw them take the nation of Libya down to the ground, destroy it completely. We have seen them take the nation of Somalia down to the ground, completely destroy it. And when they destroy a nation like they did with Somalia, then we have the birth of Somaliland, the rebirth of Somaliland, the rebirth of the Republic of Puntland. And the West then starts resisting, recognizing these countries that are already organized, that are already totally independent, because they are struggling to rebuild the failed state of Somalia, because they are struggling to rebuild the failed state of Libya, the same state that they destroyed. Now, everywhere else in Europe, they did not struggle to do that. Whether it was the Roman Empire, they let it disintegrate. Whether it was the Union of Soviet Socialist Republic, they let it disintegrate. They supported the nations that were birthed out of that disintegration, instead of struggling to support the Union of Soviet Socialist Republic. So they do these things in Africa. So what will happen with La République du Cameroon, which is already a failed state, but has not yet been recognized as such, is that when all of those groups start clashing with what I call the Fangbulu Republic of Cameroon, then we are going to see full disintegration. And when that happens, Ambazonia will emerge the same way Somaliland has emerged today. And our people will get ready for what will happen next. Because what will happen next, the only thing left to happen for Ambazonia now is recognition for the people of Ambazonia and recognition for our state.
Let's assume that this is a conspiracy theory I'm bringing here now. Let's assume that you have groups or military factions emerging up in the north of La République du Cameroon. You have some emerging perhaps from the south. I'm talking about Douala, Bafoussam, and stuff. How does that argue well for our struggle or against this struggle? What is your take? Before you answer that, let me remind our audience that I'm opening the phone lines, but before you call, please always make sure that your television set is turned down, the volume is turned down. So look at that scenario in Tumphone. Crisis up in the north of La République du Cameroon and in the south of La République du Cameroon, probably in the center too with the Boulous, Betis, Iwondos. Because I think about 3 years ago, I was in Yaoundé and I met with Joshua Osei, and then that was about 6 years ago. The crisis wasn't there yet. I mean, this conflict wasn't there yet. But we were talking about a transition in La République du Cameroon, and he said it's going to be messy. If Biya is not there, it's going to be very, very messy because the Northeast want power. The Bamilikis want power. The Bulus, Ewondos, Betty Axis, they want to maintain the power. Look at this scenario. How does it play in the context of a struggle? Is it advantageous, disadvantageous?
You know, there's a saying, the friend of my enemy is my enemy. Or, but the simple thing here is that the more instability in La République du Cameroon, the better for Ambazonia. La République du Cameroon is going to collapse. I mean, to say going to collapse, construct that sentence in the future is really to give them some credit. Because, okay, if you have someone who is apparently, the walking dead, who is still there, you will suppose that they still have some semblance of government in place. But what really is happening is that La République du Cameroon is teetering on the brink right now. They will collapse, and I'm hoping that what happens is that all of these factions, when they emerge, they will have to redeploy their forces in Ambazonia back to La République du Cameroon to defend the seat of power in Yaoundé. And when they do that, the people of Ambazonia will move into a better position with respect to what we want to do. Now, I also want to be very clear that the people of Ambazonia are not interested in winning a war. We are in this to win independence. They can think that they will win a war, but there is no war to be won in Ambazonia. Because no matter how long you fight, no matter how many Ambazonians you kill, no matter how many villages you burn, no matter how long this goes on, the winner at the end is going to be Ambazonia. So La République du Cameroon knows that already. That is why they're hoping that as many people as possible start thinking and start working with all of these groups of enablers that they're setting up left and right and center. And they're working very hard also to try and demonize the revolution. That is why we had the killing of the star. That is why they staged in Gabu, because they were hoping that they were going to pin it on Ambazonia. That is why they wanted the Fon of Nso and Christian Cardinal Tumi assassinated, because they were hoping that that will then put a huge stain on the people of Ambazonia. They have struggled very hard to the point where the Senate of the United States will go out and tell the people of Ambazonia that they want us to call off the school strike. No, right. The boycott of schools is a non-violent, peaceful movement that we have in place to resist the colonizers, and no one should be telling us to stop it. Because, you can't say that when you cannot boldly ask them to stop the war and get their people out of Ambazonia. Because everyone knows, and Thibault Nage knows this, Ambassador Thibault Nage, knows this, if La République du Cameroon is out of Ambazonia, there will be no one killing anyone. Because our people are the ones who are the victims here. It is not the world. It is not people looking in. And we appreciate their sympathy. We appreciate their concern, but concern and sympathy has never moved action in favor of a people who are enslaved.
All right, wonderful. Ladies and gentlemen, the phone lines are open. Go ahead and make a call, ask a question, make a contribution before we call it a day. The phone number is right there on your screen. I like to receive most of the calls from Ground Zero, but wherever you are watching us, please call, let us know what you think. And let me also remind you, ABC app is up and running. You can watch us anytime, anywhere, for as long as you have internet. All you need to do is get to Play Store, search for ABC Amba TV, download the app, and you are able to watch ABC anywhere you are, 24/7, 24/7. And let me also remind you, Africa Town Hall. For those of you who have not signed up yet, That is where you should be. It is better. It is getting better than Facebook. That is where Africa gathers and discuss African issues. So please get there, africatownhall.com, and sign up. Let me get to the first caller here today. This is from England. Hello.
Hello?
Hello.
Yeah, hello, Comrade Chris. It's Florence talking from United Kingdom.
Good to hear your voice, ma'am. Good evening.
Yeah, I just want to greet our people and say hello, Ground Zero, and weigh in on what my brother, Comrade Bo Herbert, is saying. Our people need to understand this. When there is time for compensation, we will calculate exactly what each person has lost and how to be appropriately compensated.
Right.
If you rush and receive 2.5 million as compensation, when the time for compensation comes, what will you do? Because La Republic will say you have been compensated.
Of course.
So, and you will lose more than what you have been, you would receive as compensation. So we need to be wiser than this. We need to be more focused. Our people need to understand, and I do know that they are wise, but there are some people that will be fooled to think that they are receiving compensation. As our brother Chris rightly said, you can't build a house in Ambazonia with 2.5 million. That is a no-go area.
Absolutely not. It's not possible.
And, yes. And secondly, our people need to understand that we are out here fighting for them, making sure that we make progress as far as our international negotiations is concerned. They should not listen to La Republique. Let us concentrate and make sure that we resist this devil, resist these demons amongst us with all our might, with all our strength, and with all our souls. Our people do not give up. Do not think that we are not making progress. No, we are actually making progress, and that's why you will see some people like Barrister Ashu trying to redress from the steps in which they had made, which is absolutely a shameful thing for a barrister like that one to make big progress and then take steps backward and think that we Ambazonians will follow him. No, we won't. Anybody that has made giant steps and redress is a fool, and that's how he should be called, a fool. Thank you, Secretary Chris.
Thank you. You are absolutely correct. We have made a lot of progress. If you listen to the story of the professor from Somaliland last Monday, you will agree with me. We have made tremendous progress, ladies and gentlemen, and we will continue to make that progress until we take back our land. Please go ahead and call. I know a lot of you have been trying to call while other callers were on. All right, let me see who is calling next here. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, good evening, sir. May I know where you are calling from, please?
I'm calling from Ground Zero.
Which county?
Paco County, Muyuka LG.
Okay, wonderful. Hope you are safe. What is in your mind, sir?
Just want to say I love that discussion, and that was repeated yesterday. I want that the rebroadcast should be done over and over, because some of us really need to hear what that professor is saying.
Right. We will keep on running it every week until as many people as possible listen to it, especially on Ground Zero.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. We on Ground Zero really need to listen to it because we got a lot of experience from what the professor was saying, and it is the same thing that is happening on Ground Zero.
Right. Well, thanks for the call. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and then like what Barrister Ashu said the other day, as Comrade Bo Abed has said, we will not blame him. All the lawyers in Cameroon now, we know they are hungry. Even if they arrest you and you go to they take you up there, they go to defend you, they only extort money from your family. They'll extort money until you at the end you will give up.
Hold on there. You are 101% correct, because in Tumfine, I have received letters from jail, Boya in particular, that they complain, the prisoners complain. Quite a number of lawyers in Boya and the surroundings, they go to the prisoners, take millions. I mean, millions. I have some of their names. They take millions. I'm talking about this because only yesterday the guy wrote to me again and was pleading, let's do something, that some of these lawyers are killing their families who cannot even afford a meal. They go and lie to the prisoners. If you can just give us 1 million, we will settle with the magistrate, and the magistrate will get you released. When they take the money, they disappear. They are never seen. This is what is going on in Boya. Yes, sir.
Yes, that is what is actually happening. Bohabe said the real thing is he is here saying it. It is the same thing that is happening here.
All right, thank you. I will let Bo to say a word there, and we will get the leadership to address that particular issue. Thank you for the call.
You're welcome, sir.
All right. If you have anything to say, go on, please.
Yeah, I will say that I have received those complaints as well. They are scandalous. If there are lawyers doing that on the ground, they need to stop. But for those who have already been scammed, please do not give up. Make sure that you document what is going on. Make sure that our people share that information with us. We can track these things. We will make sure that your family gets their money back, whether it's now or it is when Ambazonia is restored. I'll say one other thing with respect to reconstruction, because it was mentioned again by Florence calling in from London. As all Ambazonians know, I worked at the World Bank for 12.5 years. I know what happens in post-conflict reconstruction, because prior to that, I worked for the United Nations for 4 years in conflict regions across Africa, in an office that pursues issues of peace, security, and disarmament based out of Togo. And I worked on several, arms for development projects on behalf of that United Nations outfit. The key thing here for our people to know is that reconstruction, post-conflict reconstruction, and support to nations that are considered fragile is provided by the World Bank in the form of grants. What that means is that the money is not refunded. That is how Rwanda was rebuilt, on the basis of grants. It is part of the principle of the World Bank to do that. And La République du Cameroon, like a wolf, is looking at this money which is supposed to come to you. They want to cut in and get the money. And I'll tell you one other thing which was happening at the World Bank before I left, and I left at the end of 2016. Before I retired early from the World Bank, Somaliland, remember that again. They were already at the table at the World Bank. They were already at the table with projects for reconstruction that are being done with the government of Somaliland, not with the government of Somalia. It's very important for the people of Ambazonia to know this, because they end up by doing what our people want. And Team Ambazonia is putting together what will go to the World Bank and the IMF to ensure that any projects that have to do with reconstruction work with the people of Ambazonia. And I've told people, remember that these institutions, whether it's the World Bank or it is the African Development Bank, they have adopted instruments which you can check online. They are called lending to sub-sovereign entities. So in a place like Ghana, they will do a project with the Ashanti Kingdom in the north of Ghana. It is not a sovereign country. They will do projects in Tanzania, for instance, with the government of Zanzibar. The people of Ambazonia, you need to follow the guidance that we are providing to you. Hold out on anything reconstruction, because we know what we are pressing for and we know what you will get, because that money will come to you. You will rebuild under a plan that resembles a plan, not under the nonsense that La République Cameroon is suggesting they can put in place for you.
Thank you. Thank you. Let's get to our next caller here. I think this is from Germany. Hello.
Hello, Secretary Chris. Good evening. My name is Cyprian.
Thank you for the call, sir.
Yes, today I don't think I'm calling for a question or to give any information concerning what people have said, but I'm calling to first of all thank the both of you and thank all the cabinet member of the IG for the great job you people are doing, because I believe that you people are motivating us, and it is also important for us to even motivate you people with some words. But now I have one question for Bohebe. He is so passionate, and at times I ask myself questions where all this passion comes from. So what can we do with the Ambazonian citizens? With the Ambazonian citizens, those of us that we are struggling to pay our draft and so on, we are being active. What can we do so that you, our leaders, you can keep doing what you are doing to take us to the logical end of this struggle? So this question goes to Senior Comrade Bohebe. What can we do to keep you people also motivated doing what people are doing? Thank you.
Thank you. That is such a wonderful question, and I will let Tumfoin take it. Tumfoin, please.
I'll answer in two steps. Number one, because you're calling from Germany, I'm probably not teaching you anything, because the government of Germany put out a statement asking for the conflict and the violence to end. Now, it is your job, those of you Ambazonians who live in Germany, to make sure that the government of Germany understands what our people want, understand that what we want is a negotiation for separation, which is foreseen under 1514. We want our nation and our country back, and our independence restored, and our country recognized. This is what you should keep hammering in the ears and in every letter that you send to German members of parliament, members of government, every day that you wake up. Now, for the people of Ambazonia across the world, I would say, which is my second message, please, Secretary Chris mentioned one other thing. He mentioned the draft. Make sure that you pay up for your draft. Make sure that you stand ready to do additional things in support of this struggle. We will get there by everybody chipping in a little bit. It is little drops of water that make up an ocean. So do not believe that your contribution is too small. Do not believe that that one initiative you're taking is too small. This is your struggle. So pick it up and run with it. A last thing that I will say is that we have announced for the 24th of November, a day of honor for all those who have been slaughtered in Ambazonia, because we want to tell the people of the world that our people are standing strong. Remember, it is a Tuesday, the 24th of November, the first monthly anniversary of the massacre at the school in Kumba. Please prepare to come out, organize your small event in your small area to celebrate, to absolutely appreciate these heroes. Do not allow only those who carry weapons to be running this struggle, because this struggle is in all of our hands. Those who carry weapons are there to back you up and to defend you. Do not resign. Stay resilient. And when the opportunity shows itself, please do not hesitate to show that you continue to support independence for the people of Ambazonia.
Awesome. Great. Let me get to the next caller here. Prince J. Car, how are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing good, Secretary Chris. Are you getting me?
Yes, 515. Go on.
Yeah, I want to tell Ambazonian people that I'm sorry they have not been seeing me online. My Facebook has been blocked for a month, but it will be open tomorrow. And I've seen many people are really a bit worried about what to see. Most people have become Thomas. They want to see everything out on social media. But I want to tell them one thing. We are fighting the war now on sabotage. La Republique is doing everything to sabotage the interests of the people of Ambazonia. And now is the time for we Ambazonians, Southern Cameroonians, to know the real patriots. Patriots in the sense that those who have the spirit of the revolution, not churchgoers. You know, not everybody that goes to church on Sunday is a Christian. They are just churchgoers. So now is the time for true patriots of Southern Cameroon to stand strong. And whatever you see, any drama you see, no, they come just for your minerals, your gold, your diamond, and whatever we have. So all Southern Cameroonians, all my people, everyone must be focused. Yeah, they must be focused. They can see La Republique, the military, the Indomitable Lions, they could not even have $2,000 to pay for their flight, for their fuel, on the plane. So the economic sabotage is going great. The economy is down. So we need now just to destroy the buildings of the colonial masters, the GO's office, the governors, and those buildings standing there. And with the techniques of our boys that have been seeing all the actions, the guerrilla tactics, which our boys are using, is to tell us that we are advanced. Yeah, we are growing every day. So nobody needs to worry with what Facebook is doing, the block here, block that, and the small sabotage. No. With everything you see following the news every day in La Republique, you know Ambazonia is growing strong to become independent. So please let the people be focused. Thank you, Secretary Chris and Boabet. You are doing a good job. God bless you.
All right. Thank you, Prince J. Car. Thank you from Europe. All right. While we wait for any other caller, I just like to remind Ambazonians again of November 24th and 25th. Please give a little more emphasis on that November the 24th so that nobody says he didn't hear or didn't know.
Yeah, thank you very much, Secretary Chris. So again, November 24th is a Tuesday. It means that when you observe Country Sunday on Monday, there will be an extension of Country Sunday on that Tuesday. And what we want you to do is that the international community is being told by La République du Cameroun that your struggle is dead. And we are asking you not to show that your struggle is dead, but to come out and show that you honor the lives of everyone who has gone in this revolution, that you stand united with them. They need to understand, the international community needs to see anew that whatever they thought, whatever La République du Cameroun has told them in note verbals, that this struggle is over, they need to see very clearly that it is not. Now, what you need to do is multiply the events on the 24th of November. If you want to go to a gravesite of one of the fallen heroes, if your relatives, your parents, if you want to go to the place where they were assassinated, go there and show your reverence. Do it in a solemn way, do it in a prayerful way, offer prayers for the repose of their souls, and honor their memory. The reason they died is because they wanted freedom for all of us. So please pick the spot where you want to go. If you want to go to the cemetery, you want to go to the site where they were killed, make sure that you do your small ceremony. Make sure that you get whatever pictures you want, whatever video you want, that you provide protection for your face if you don't want faces to be shown, to make sure that the world sees all of this footage on social media indicating that the people of Ambazonia overwhelmingly remain solidly behind their struggle.
All right, thank you, Dufon. Let's get the last caller here and we call it a day. Hello, sir.
Hello, good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir. May I know where you're calling from, please?
I'm calling from Finland.
Okay, and what is in your mind, sir?
Yeah, I'm calling to comment on what Barrister Ashu said lately. What I have noticed is there are these politicians back there in Cameroon who want to politicize the Anglophone crisis. You see people like Barrister Ashu, you see people like Kamto, you don't know what is their interest in this conflict. They keep talking about it every day, but they don't have anything to show. We have people back there who, according to them, the leadership abroad should surrender and allow them to go in for any talks with La République du Cameroon or whatsoever. But I think they are having it wrong because most of these people, like Barrister Ashu, is someone I know very well, someone who stands for a federation. The problem we have with these people is you stand for a federation, but they do not have a strategy. If you look at people like Badi Asanga, you look like Pastor Ejacha, this other guy, and many of them, Frundi, they don't have a strategy. Today they have abandoned La République and they are punching the Ambazonians. The issue is, what is their interest in this conflict? Because if we all are fighting for justice like they say they are fighting for, everybody should have a strategy. But they do not have a strategy. So they are trying to politicize the Anglophone crisis. And this is what Ambazonians should not ever allow to happen, because even Kamto, who is talking about Ambazonia today, one of the demands he has been asking from the government is end the Anglophone crisis. How are they much interested in the Anglophone crisis than the real Southern Cameroonians? So we are not going to allow them to politicize this thing. In fact, if you look at the media in Cameroon today, the Guardian Post, My Media Prime, some of these, the day this conflict will come to an end, they will be out of business because they have abandoned what they are doing just to talk about Ambazonians, just to condemn them every day. This shows that these people do not have anything to offer to us. Even if we go in for those negotiations today, some of them will still have problem because they are frustrated. They don't know how to go about with their frustration. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You made a point where when we go for negotiations, some of them may run out of the country, I guess. What is your response to this caller? I think you made the point very succinctly.
No, I think that's a very, very solid point he was making. And one thing we have to absolutely keep reminding ourselves is that, and J. Carr was saying it a moment ago, Prince J. Carr was saying it a moment ago, it is sabotage. That is the only thing that La République Cameroon is doing right now. And what the people of Ambazonia need to understand is that every time you hear that they have gone and attacked civilians, it is La République du Cameroon that is attacking those civilians. When you hear that there have been kidnappings, it is La République du Cameroon that is attacking those people. When you hear that a chief has been killed, it is La République du Cameroon that is killing those chiefs. When you hear that they are setting up people from the southern zone against people from the northern zone, it is La République du Cameroon that is working on that plan. When you hear them say that we are not united, it is La République du Cameroon that is working on all of those plans. So in advance, even before they stage the next attacks against civilians, before they burn the next hospital, before they burn down the next village and kill the next chief and kill children and go in the night like in Gabu and kill some people, know in your head, Ambazonian, do not even doubt it. Know in your heads that it is La République du Cameroon that is doing it. They have done it from the very beginning. And that is the only thing they have left. The reason they are doing it is to get you revolted against your own struggle. They are hoping that when you get discouraged against your own struggle, you will then turn against it. And you will resign yourself to the enslavement that they have prepared for you from time immemorial. So your job is to stay alert. Your job is to recognize all of these plots that they are putting in place and to just go by them and continue with your struggle.
All right, you could have said it in a better tone. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you have a great day, whatever is left out there, sir.
Thank you very much. It was my pleasure. Sorry, in the middle of the show there, we're into winter and it gets dark just after 4 o'clock. 4
I know we had
So
quite a
amazing
number
that,
of distractions
found
today,
out
but
I
at
didn't
least
have enough
we
light.
made it through.
Thank
you, sir. Have a great night.
Same to you.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, before I go, let me just remind you of the lockdown coming up the weekend of December the 6th. Again, a very, very critical lockdown is being announced for the weekend of December the 6th in all of Ambazonia. We are shutting down Ambazonia against these so-called regional council elections being organized by the colonial regime in Yaoundé. So please begin to make your preparations. Begin to make your preparations. There will be no regional elections anywhere in Ambazonia come December. So please, December the 6th, the weekend of December the 6th, will be declared a total lockdown of Ambazonia. Make your plans right now. That is, again, the weekend of December the 6th. There will be a complete lockdown of Ambazonia for that weekend. And please remember, get on Play Store. Go to Play Store, download your ABC app so you can watch ABC anytime you can and from anywhere. Also, do not forget africatownhall.com. Get in there, sign up, and let's talk Africa. Let's discuss Africa. In fact, it functions the same as Facebook. Whatever you can do on Facebook, you will be able to do. On Africa Town Hall. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in today. I look forward to being back with you again in the coming days. Good night and God bless.